Migration. Most animals live in the same area all of their lives, and they often don't travel very far. Others migrate or travel away from and then back to their place of birth. An animal can migrate a long or short distance. Migration can occur once in a lifetime or every year.
Have you ever seen geese, ducks, or other birds flying in a V shape in the sky? These birds were most likely migrating. Birds aren't the only animals that migrate, though. Some whales, seals, deer, and frogs migrate every year. Sea turtles come out of the sea to lay their eggs in the sand. The wapiti, American elk, that live in Yellowstone Park, Wyoming, travel from the lowland plains to the high forests of the Rocky Mountains every spring.
Why migrate? Many animals migrate to find a better place to have their young. The new location may have more food, more mates, a warmer climate, or fewer predators. Eventually, the animals eat all the food in the area, so they must move on. Lapland longspurs are small sparrows that migrate all the way from the southern parts of the United States to Alaska every spring. The birds arrive in the Arctic tundra in late May, just after the snow melts, when there are millions of bugs and plenty of nesting sites. They leave with their new young in early August, before the harsh winter begins.
Where to go? Migration can be from one end of the earth to the other, or just up to the top of a mountain. Where a creature goes depends on where it was born and what it needs to survive or to produce its young. The Arctic tern is a super migrator. In the spring, it flies all the way from Antarctica to the Arctic, more than 9,000 miles, 15,000 kilometers, in order to lay its 3 eggs in the open tundra. In the fall, the tern flies back down to Antarctica.
Adult bougon moths of Southeast Australia spend the hot, dry summers in mountain caves. In the autumn, they fly down to the lowland to lay eggs.
Navigation. Scientists have not yet figured out how migrating animals find their way. Even young animals that have never made the journey before don't get lost. Some may have a built-in compass that tells them where to go. Others may use the sun, the stars, or even smells to help them find their way.
Salmon hatch from eggs in rivers and streams, and then swim to the ocean, where they spend most of their lives. As adults, they swim from the ocean back to their birthplace. Scientists think the salmon recognize tiny odor molecules from the water in which they were born.
Other movements. The term migration is sometimes used to describe a move that creatures make to better living areas. These migrations can occur anytime and are often one way. Tiny animals called zooplankton live in the upper waters of the oceans. These animals spend the night at the surface of the water. Every day, when the sun comes up, the zooplankton swim down from the surface of the water. This daily movement is called diurnal migration. The animals swim down from the lighted surface waters to keep from being seen and eaten. During the dark and quiet night, the zooplankton swim back up to the water surface so they can feed. Thunderstorms. Read the questions below. Then fill in the blanks to learn some amazing facts about thunderstorms. Type in your answer and then press the Enter key.
How many thunderstorms do you think were raging throughout the world in the last hour? How many times would you guess that lightning will strike the Earth in the next second? Lots higher. Lots higher. The makings of a thunderstorm. Thunderclouds often form on hot, humid days. Scientists aren't sure exactly how the electricity inside them builds up to make lightning, but you can learn about one idea by watching the animation here. Air, water, the ground, and everything else around you is made of atoms. Atoms contain positively and negatively charged particles. Usually, there are the same number of each. In a thundercloud, atoms move around quickly. When they run into each other, some atoms lose negative particles, called electrons. Other atoms gain electrons. Atoms that lose electrons become positively charged. Atoms that gain electrons become negatively charged. Charged atoms separate inside a thundercloud. Positive atoms move to the top and negative to the bottom. The ground below a thundercloud has a positive charge. Negative and positive charges attract each other. This makes an electric current, which you see as a spark. Lightning flashes are giant sparks. They leap between the clouds and the ground. A burst of heat from lightning makes the air nearby expand, sending out a wave of pressure. This creates the sound of thunder.
Thunderstorm safety. Can you tell facts from fiction in a thunderstorm? Read each of the following sentences. Click on T if you think the sentence is true, and click on F if you think the sentence is false. Lightning never strikes twice. The safest place to be in a thunderstorm is under a tall tree. If you see lightning, you'll hear thunder.
Correct. Lightning tends to strike the tallest points on the landscape, so you are much better off lying flat on the ground during a big storm. You are safe in a closed car if you avoid touching metal, and in most buildings. Metal poles called lightning rods direct electricity from the roof of a building directly into the ground. And by all means, don't go in the swimming pool. Water is an excellent conductor of electricity. False. We hear thunder with only about 6 of every 10 lightning strikes. Correct. We hear thunder with only about 6 of every 10 lightning strikes. Often the lightning is so far away that no noise reaches us. In addition, thunder sounds differ depending on where you are and what part of the lightning you see. A low rumble comes from a thick trunk of lightning in the distance. You hear a sudden crack when the lightning branches into forks.
Correct. Photographs have recorded many strikes in the same place, even in a single storm. In any case, What looks like one flash of lightning is often more than that. As many as 20 individual strokes may make up a single flash.
How far away? Have you ever noticed that you don't see lightning and hear thunder at exactly the same time? Light travels much more quickly than sound does. For this reason, the light from lightning reaches you before the sound of thunder, even though they happen at the same time in the sky.
The sooner you hear thunder after you see the lightning, the closer the lightning is to you.
Stop counting when you hear the thunder and divide the number you reached by 5. Your answer gives you the distance from the lightning to you in miles.
It takes 5 seconds for the sound of thunder to travel 1 mile. You can use this information to figure out how far away you are from the lightning. When you see a flash of lightning, begin to count in seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003.
Opossums. Look carefully at the opossum shown here. Do you think it is more closely related to a rat or to a kangaroo? Opossum. Opossums are found in North, Central, and South America. They are often called possums. The common Virginia opossum is the only kind found in the United States. It's about the size of a house cat and has gray and white fur that covers everything except its ears and most of its tail.
Kangaroo. An opossum and a kangaroo don't look at all alike, but they are related. Kangaroos and most opossums carry their young in a pouch. Pouched mammals such as these are called marsupials. Opossums are the only marsupials that live in the Americas.
Rat. With its thin pointed snout, sharp teeth, and long scaly tail, the opossum looks a lot like a rat. Opossums and rats are both mammals, but opossums are more closely related to kangaroos than to rats. Inside the pouch. Like other marsupial young, opossums are small and not very well developed at birth. Even so, they find their way to their mother's belly. There they drink milk from their mother's teats and grow strong enough to move around. Opossums strike out on their own when they are about 3 months old. An opossum's pouch can hold between 3 and 18 offspring. Not all kinds of opossums have pouches, however. Some simply have folds of skin on their bellies, and others have nothing at all. Once a newborn opossum attaches itself to a teat, the teat swells inside its mouth, so the baby can't let go. That way, the youngster doesn't fall off when its mother walks around. Opossums leave their mother's pouch when they are about 2 months old. At this point, they are about 9 times as big as they were at birth. They can move around on their own, although they often cling to their mother's back or hide in the nest. They return to the pouch only to eat.
Dusk to dawn. Opossums are active during the night, from when the sun falls until it rises again in the morning. They spend most of this time looking for food, such as insects, fruit, earthworms, mice, and dead animals. During the day, opossums sleep in hollowed-out trees or under rocks or logs on the ground.
Opossums like to live near trees and bushes, where their strong tails, sharp claws, and long thumbs help them climb and grasp things. They live alone and avoid each other, except during mating season. When other opossums come too close, an opossum growls, hisses, and bares its 50 teeth. Many opossums live near people, and the opossums aren't shy about checking out garbage cans for food. They aren't very careful about crossing busy streets either. Opossums have excellent senses of hearing and smell, but unfortunately for them, they don't see very well or move too quickly. Playing possum. Imagine you're a dog and you've just cornered an opossum. Suddenly, the opossum falls over, its body completely stiff. You sniff and nudge it, but there's no movement whatsoever. The opossum isn't dead, it's just playing possum. When a Virginia opossum is frightened, substances in its blood cause it to become partially paralyzed. Most predators lose interest in a dead opossum and leave it alone. An opossum can remain paralyzed for as long as 6 hours.
Kinds of opossums. What's a four-eyed opossum? A possum with a white spot over each eye. Opossums come in many shades and patterns of black, white, red, and brown. They can be as small as mice or as big as tomcats. Some have tails that can wrap around and grasp branches, and most have large beady eyes for night vision. There are more than 50 kinds of mouse opossums. As you might guess from their name, these small animals look a lot like mice. They use their tiny paws like hands, easily snatching insects from the air. Mouse opossums live in Central America and South America, but more than one has hitched a ride to the United States on a banana boat.
Woolly opossums live in Central and South America. They get their name from their thick fur, which gets especially long at the base of their long tails. Some woolly opossums were once hunted for their fur. Woolly opossums are especially good climbers, and they search through the treetops of tropical forests for fruit and flower nectar. Many live in orchards, where they eat so much fruit that they are considered pests.
What's in a name? Brush-tailed possum, striped possum, leadbetter's possum? Many animals share the possum's name, but none of them are closely related to the possums of North and South America. These other possums live in Australia and New Zealand.
The honey possum's brush-like tongue laps up nectar from the banksia flower. The possum helps the banksia reproduce by carrying its pollen to the next plant. Honey possums are the only living members of a very old group of marsupials. They live in shrubland and wooded areas in Western Australia. The greater glider belongs to the family of ringtail possums. Skin stretched between its arms and legs acts like a parachute, allowing the glider to soar more than 320 feet, 100 meters downward from a tree branch. Greater gliders eat only eucalyptus leaves.
Squirrels. Tree squirrels, flying squirrels, and ground squirrels are different kinds of squirrels. Did you know that marmots, prairie dogs, and chipmunks are squirrels too? Most squirrels have a long body and a bushy tail. They may have black, brown, red, or striped fur. Some squirrels have tassels of fur on their ears, and some have skin connecting their arms and legs.
Like rats and mice, squirrels belong to the mammal group called rodents. Rodents have chisel-like incisor teeth for nibbling nuts and berries. The teeth wear down as the animal gnaws, but they continue to grow throughout its life.
Believe it or not, squirrels are more closely related to beavers than they are to smaller rodents like rats and mice.
Food. Most squirrels eat nuts, seeds, fruit, and other plant material. Squirrels don't have to learn how to open nuts. They hold their food in their front paws and nibble a hole in the shell. Then they use their front teeth to pry open the nut or seed at its weakest point.
A chipmunk carries whatever it can't eat in its bulging cheek pouches. In its underground burrow, the chipmunk digs out separate areas for storing different kinds of food. Tree squirrels bury nuts and seeds underground to dig up during the winter months when food is scarce. They use their nose to remember where a stash is. Some squirrels can smell food buried a foot underground.
When food is hard to find, Gray squirrels may strip the bark off trees and eat it. Young trees with thin bark have been destroyed this way.
In the trees. The squirrel is well adapted for life in the trees. It has sharp claws for clinging to the bark and a long fluffy tail to help with balance.
Tree squirrels rest and sleep in a ball-shaped nest of twigs and leaves. A squirrel may use different nests in cold and warm weather. In the breeding season, a female squirrel makes an extra strong nest where she raises 2 or 3 young.
Squirrels are great acrobats. They can leap through the treetops with ease.
On the ground. Some squirrels never climb trees. They live in underground burrows and, unlike tree squirrels, are often quite social. Many hibernate during the winter and survive on stores of food inside their dens.
Marmots are some of the largest members of the squirrel family. The alpine marmot, native to northern forests, is as big as a large cat. It builds up fat under its shaggy coat to keep it warm and alive while it hibernates.
Prairie dogs are very social animals. A group of related prairie dogs lives in a network of connected burrows. The prairie dogs build several networks near each other to make a town. When 2 related prairie dogs meet around town, they often greet each other by rubbing noses.
In the air. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a squirrel? Who has ever heard of a flying squirrel? Unlike a bird, a flying squirrel doesn't actually fly. It glides downward from a high branch using its body as a parachute. A membrane stretches between its front and back legs. The squirrel makes the membrane tighter or looser to change its path.
A membrane stretches between a flying squirrel's front and back legs, much like the webbing between a frog's toes. The squirrel moves its arms and legs and pulls the membrane tighter or loosens it to change its path.
Hollywood squirrels. Can you get 3 X's in a row? Click on a squirrel to find a question. If you answer it correctly, you'll get an X. If you answer it incorrectly, you'll get an O.
People are one of the squirrel's worst enemies. True. People hunt squirrels for their fur, as pets, and for sport. Other animals that prey on squirrels are weasels, foxes, coyotes, and large birds.
All squirrels hibernate when the weather gets cold.
False. Tree squirrels may not come out of their nests for many weeks at a time during the winter, but they don't really hibernate. Ground squirrels are the deepest sleepers of the family. When they hibernate, their body temperatures drop to almost freezing. A male and female squirrel bring up their young together.
False. A female usually raises her offspring all by herself. A squirrel learns how to hide food by watching its mother.
False. A squirrel does not have to be taught to bury food. Even very young squirrels have this instinct, natural way of behaving.
Parasitic plants. A parasite is a living thing that lives on or in another living thing, called the host. Both plants and animals can be parasites.
Mistletoe is a plant parasite that grows high up in the branches of trees. It attaches its roots to the bark so it can absorb water and nutrients from its host. Mistletoe is part of a Christmas tradition. A person caught standing beneath a hanging piece of mistletoe is supposed to give up a kiss.
Other parasitic plants. Although most parasites don't usually kill the host, they can cause disease. Most parasites are truly unwelcome guests. The dodder plant is a parasite that grows on and often kills crops such as alfalfa, clover, and flax. It gets all of its nourishment by inserting special roots called suckers into the host.
Rafflesia is a bad-smelling parasite that grows on the roots and stems of rainforest plants. Its brightly colored flowers are the biggest of any plant, reaching widths of 38 inches, 97 centimeters.
Hibernation. For many animals, food is hard to find during the cold winter months. Some animals survive this time by hibernating. Hibernation is like a long, deep sleep. An animal picks a safe, hidden place such as a nest, burrow, or cave to hibernate in. Before an animal begins to hibernate, it eats extra food to build up fat in its body. It can live off this fat all winter long.
Hidden hibernators. During the winter, the forest seems empty. Many animals are hidden away in hibernation. Can you find some of them?
Bats huddle together to stay warm in the winter. They hang upside down in any place where they are undisturbed, including caves and buildings. Some squirrels spend over half of the year hibernating in burrows. They often store food in their burrows for the winter, but they may not eat it until they wake up in the spring.
The body temperature of cold-blooded animals, such as snakes, depends on the weather. When the weather is cold, their bodies shut down. You can't wake up a hibernating snake until it gets warm.
Bears may wake up during the winter and move around in their dens, but they don't eat until spring. Females give birth in their dens during winter.
Deep sleepers. Your body uses 90% of the food you eat just to keep you alive. A hibernating animal slows down its body so that it uses less energy. The body temperatures of some animals, including many squirrels, may drop to almost freezing. A ground squirrel's senses slow down during hibernation. The squirrel's muscles are so cold that the squirrel can't move its eyes or its legs.
A ground squirrel wraps its furry tail around its back like a blanket. Curling into a tight ball helps the ground squirrel save heat. The heat that would normally escape to the air runs into other parts of the body.
During hibernation, a ground squirrel loses up to half of its body weight. It is very hungry when it wakes up in the spring. During the summer, a ground squirrel's heart usually beats 200 to 400 times a minute. While the squirrel is hibernating, its heartbeat may slow to 7 to 10 times a minute. Both heartbeat and breathing slow during hibernation to save energy. They will speed up again if the squirrel's body suddenly needs more oxygen or gets too cold. Scientists are looking for the antifreeze molecule, the substance in an animal's blood that lets it stay alive with cold body temperatures.
Torpor. Short hibernation is called torpor. Torpor usually lasts only a few hours and can happen any time of the year. Animals go into torpor because they do not have enough food or because it is unusually cold. Some birds, bats, mice, and even monkeys go into torpor.
Animals in torpor do not prepare for hibernation the way some hibernators do. A rufous hummingbird simply folds its head under its wing and puffs up its feathers to stay warm. It will wake up after a few hours and try to find food. If the food supply and weather don't get better, many animals that do not hibernate may move or migrate to better areas.
Estivation. Many animals need to escape the hot, dry season when water is hard to find. Snails, for example, seek seal their shell openings and go to sleep in order to keep from drying out. This is called estivation. The animals try to stay cool and moist rather than warm.
Some fish and fish eggs can estivate when the water in their pond or river dries up. They stay buried under the mud until it rains again.
Some frogs can stay underground for years without moving. Their skin forms a cocoon and keeps their bodies from drying out. When water reaches an estivating frog, the frog sheds its skin and eats it as its first meal.
The salamander saves water by staying inactive and out of the sun. When there is water around, the salamander drinks as much as possible. If there is enough water to raise young, the salamander searches for a mate.
Fireflies. You probably wouldn't notice a firefly during most of the year. At dusk, during the early summer, however, fireflies come out and light up the air on the ground with their yellow flashes. Fireflies are also called lightning bugs. Just another bug. Fireflies are not little flashlights or even glowing flies. They are actually small, soft-bodied beetles that live on all continents except Antarctica. There are 1,900 kinds of fireflies. Only some of the adult fireflies glow.
Adult fireflies are less than 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters long. They usually live less than 30 days, which they spend finding mates. Some adult fireflies do not even take the time to eat.
The worm-like larvae of all fireflies glow. Some are called glowworms. Firefly larvae live for up to 2 years before they change into their adult form. You can find them on damp ground, such as a stream bed.
A special code.
Fireflies make light to attract mates. The light flashes of each species have a special pattern. Even the amount of time between flashes is important. Male fireflies fly overhead and look for the flashing signal from a female of their species. When a male finds the right female, he answers her with another special code of flashes. The two keep signaling each other until the male makes his way to the female.
A female firefly sits on the ground and flashes when she is ready to mate. Her flashing attracts males of her species. Some females mimic the flashing of other species. If one of these females fools a male well enough to make him come to her, she pounces on him and eats him.
Bioluminescence. Many living things produce heat when they use energy. Their bodies use the heat to keep warm, or they get rid of the heat through processes like sweating or panting. Some living things, however, produce light instead of heat. This is called bioluminescence.
Most fireflies have special cells that change chemical energy to light. These cells, called photocytes, lie just under the skin of an adult firefly's abdomen. Just under the photocytes lies another layer of cells that acts as a reflector. The reflector directs the light out of the insect's body where other fireflies and you can see it.
Don't think there are fairies in the forest if you see glowing mushrooms. There are all kinds of luminescent, light-giving plants and animals in the world, including some kinds of algae, fungi, plankton, jellyfish, squids, worms, clams, centipedes, bacteria, fish, and shrimp. Scientists are not sure what the light is for in all these cases, but in some, it may scare away predators, attract prey, or as with the firefly, attract mates.
Aphids. Have you ever seen tiny bright green bumps on the underside of a leaf? These bumps were probably aphids. Aphids are soft-bodied insects that suck sap from the stems and leaves of plants. Aphids can cause a lot of damage to gardens and farm crops because they eat so much and because they carry diseases that can kill plants.
Not all aphids are green. Some are black and some are white or other colors.
Life cycles. Aphids are very successful insects. They live a short but busy life.
In the spring, aphid eggs hatch into females without wings. These females don't have to mate before they reproduce. They don't lay eggs either. They give birth to live young, all wingless females. Do you see the aphid giving birth in this picture?
Just before summer, females with wings are born. These females fly away to other plants where they have enough food to eat and enough space to produce more young. All of the young that these females have are wingless females.
Just before autumn, females give birth to winged males and females. These aphids fly to a special type of plant when autumn arrives. Each kind of aphid always lays eggs on the same type of plant. This makes it easier for the male and female aphids to find each other. The winged males and females mate and produce eggs. The eggs do not hatch until the next spring.
Harvesting honeydew. Some aphids have a funny kind of babysitter. Ants. Most kinds of aphids make a sweet substance called honeydew. Ants like to eat the honeydew, so they take very good care of the aphids.
Some kinds of ants make sure that aphids are well fed and protected. During winter, they may keep the aphids' eggs in their own nests. The ants carry the hatchlings to plants when spring arrives, and they may even move adult aphids from plant to plant to make sure they have plenty to eat.
The gall of some aphids. Some aphids do more than eat plants. They inject chemicals into plants which make the plants grow ball-like bumps called galls. The aphids then live inside the galls, where they are protected and can easily get to the sap of the plant. This is an aphid gall.
Inside the gall, there may be aphids or aphid eggs. Hidden inside the plant, the aphids are safe from predators while they eat and grow.
Slimed. Birds, spiders, and many other animals prey on aphids. However, aphids have at least one way to protect themselves. They produce a gummy substance that sticks to other insects and irritates them. The slimy stuff also has a special smell that warns other aphids that danger is near.
Ladybird beetles, or ladybugs, are very helpful to people and plants. They eat many insect pests, including aphids. Even when large numbers of aphids are killed, however, it doesn't take long for the population to build up again.
Lacewing larvae need lots of protein to change into adults. Aphids are high-protein meals for the larvae. Lacewing.
Like many other insects, leaf-rolling grasshoppers find aphids to be tasty treats. Getting slimed, however, is not always worth it.
The slimy secretion comes from organs called cornicles on the back of the aphid's body. Some aphids do not have cornicles. They do other things to protect themselves, such as hiding galls. Woodpeckers. Woodpeckers deserve their name. They spend most of their time pecking at trees to get at insects and sugary sap.
A woodpecker has either 3 or 4 toes. 2 toes are pointed forward. The other one or two are pointed backward for support when climbing and hanging on trees.
A woodpecker's beak is long and sharp for pecking. The feathers in a woodpecker's tail are very stiff. The woodpecker uses them to prop itself up on the tree trunk while it pecks away.
Special skulls. If a person pecked at wood all day like a woodpecker does, he or she would have a headache, if not a broken head. Woodpeckers have skulls that are especially good for pecking. Woodpeckers have a special hinge between their beaks and skulls. Fluid inside the hinge absorbs vibration and pressure. The hinge also lets the woodpecker's beaks move a little, separately from their skulls.
Tremendous tongues. Woodpeckers have extra long tongues with barbed tips. After a woodpecker drills a hole in a tree trunk, it uses its tongue to reach inside and grab insects. Some woodpeckers even have a sticky saliva that helps make the insects stick to their tongues.
A woodpecker's tongue is so long that it must wrap around the bird's skull in order to fit inside its body. The tongue is attached to a band of bone and elastic tissue called the hyoid. The hyoid pulls the tongue in and pushes it out.
Raising young. Male and female woodpeckers usually live alone. They pair up in the spring to mate and raise their chicks. Woodpeckers have calls like other birds, but they often use their beaks to drum out mating calls.
Inside the tree trunk, eggs and chicks are safe from predators.
The male woodpecker usually pecks a hole in a tree to make a nest. The female woodpecker lays between 2 and 8 white eggs in the nest. Both parents take care of the young until they're old enough to take care of themselves. Kinds of woodpeckers. There are 200 types of woodpeckers. Many have red, black, and white markings. You can identify some types of woodpeckers by listening to the rhythm of their pecking.
The downy woodpecker is one of the best-known woodpeckers in North America. This bird sticks around even when many other birds fly south for the winter. You might see one if you leave peanut butter or sunflower seeds outside.
Sapsuckers are woodpeckers that peck into trees to drink the energy-filled sap. The sugary sap also attracts insects, which the sapsuckers eat. Sapsuckers are the only woodpeckers that really damage trees, because they drill many holes to get the sap. Their pecking often sounds like machine guns.
Woodpeckers can live any place where wood-boring insects live. Some also eat fruit and nuts, but many woodpeckers eat only insects that live in trees. When the trees are cut down, the woodpeckers cannot survive. The ivory-billed woodpecker was almost wiped out due to logging in the United States. Only a few pairs still exist in Cuba.
As a millipede pushes its way through the soil, its legs move in waves, 10 to 20 legs at a time.
Centipedes and millipedes. The word centipede means 100 legs, and millipede means 1,000 legs. No animal actually has 1,000 legs, but some millipedes have close to 400, more than any other animal. Habitat. There are about 2,800 kinds of centipedes and 10,000 kinds of millipedes. These creatures live in dark, moist, woodland areas, in soil, in leaf litter, and in rotten wood. Most centipedes cannot survive very long in dry earth. The Scolopendra centipede of Africa, Asia, and the Americas can be 12 inches, 30 centimeters long. It sometimes wanders into houses where it eats household pests. Its poisonous bite can be dangerous. The bite of most centipedes is not harmful, but it is a good idea to leave centipedes alone. Segments. The hard outer casing on the body of the centipede and millipede is divided into many parts. Except for the head, these parts, or segments, are similar to each other. Centipedes have one pair of legs on each body segment. Millipedes have two pairs on each segment.
The segments of a millipede's body overlap, so the animal can curl up in self-defense when it is threatened.
Centipedes and millipedes belong to a larger animal group called arthropods, which means jointed feet. Actually, their legs and not their feet have joints. All arthropods have segmented bodies.
Food. The centipede is a speedy predator. It can run swiftly after insects, worms, slugs, and other small prey, and it sometimes chases its slower-moving relatives, the millipedes. Millipedes eat mainly plants.
A centipede uses its antennae, feelers, to sense the movement and the scent of its prey. When a centipede finds its prey, it sinks its long claws into the victim. These claws are really legs adapted to inject poison. A centipede uses its jaws to cut up the prey and pass the pieces into its mouth.
The millipede's mouth parts are specialized for scraping and chewing plant material. Millipedes are important recyclers of dead leaves and wood. They chew them up and return the nutrients to the soil in their droppings. Some millipedes eat plant roots and are pests on farm crops. A few prey on animals.
Most millipedes have bright-colored spots along their bodies. The spots are glands that produce a foul-smelling fluid that keeps predators away.
Raccoons. Rustling in a garbage can at night might signal the presence of a well-known scavenger, the raccoon. Raccoons live in North America and South America, and in some parts of Europe, often near people. You might see a family of raccoons disappear up a tree on your street.
Masked mammals. With their black eye masks, raccoons seem to be born robbers. They are very clever animals and can figure out how to open just about anything that contains food. Raccoons have between 5 and 7 black rings on their long, bushy tails.
Raccoons walk on their whole back feet, just like humans do. You can see the outline of a heel in their tracks. Raccoons walk on their whole back feet, just like humans do. You can see the outline of a heel in their tracks.
Raccoons have between 5 and 7 black rings on their long, bushy tails.
Raccoons have long, flexible fingers that they use to open things and grab prey. Their front paws are so sensitive that raccoons don't need to watch what they're doing.
Raccoons have strong, sharp claws for climbing and handling objects. Raccoon is a North American Indian word for small, scratching hand.
Raccoons have 40 strong teeth. They use their teeth to crack open the shells of crabs and other shellfish.
Habits. Raccoons spend much of the day in their dens, usually inside the hollow trunks of trees. They hunt at night, but they may climb back into the trees to escape a predator. Raccoons that live in places without many trees make nests in the grass.
People used to believe that raccoons wash their food. This is not true. Raccoons eat almost anything, but they specialize in fish and shellfish from rivers and lakes. Scientists think that captive raccoons imitate catching their food by putting the food they are given into water before eating it.
Raccoons that live in the northern United States and Canada spend the cold winter sleeping in their dens. They do not hibernate. That is, their heart rate and breathing do not slow down a lot. On warmer days, these raccoons may wake up and go outside to look for food. Young raccoons. A female raccoon gives birth to up to 7 young in her den during the summer. The young are born helpless. They cannot hear until they are about 2 weeks old, and their eyes do not open for a week after that. When her young are 2 to 3 months old, a mother raccoon begins to take them with her when she looks for food. They will stay with her through the winter. Newborn raccoons weigh only about 2 ounces, 56.7 grams, about as much as a candy bar. A raccoon mother is very protective of her young. She will not even let their father near them. People and raccoons. Raccoons can be serious pests to farmers. They eat crops and poultry. One of their favorite foods is ripe corn. Farmers sometimes set off firecrackers in their cornfields to scare raccoons away.
People have hunted raccoons for hundreds of years. North American Indians traded the warm pelts, or fur, for things that the European settlers brought. Raccoon skin coats were very popular in the United States during the 1920s. Some people eat raccoon meat, but today, most raccoons are killed for sport. People often use specially bred dogs called coonhounds to track raccoons and chase them into trees.
Raccoons are easy to train, and some people keep them as pets. You should never approach a raccoon in the wild, however. Many carry rabies, and all raccoons can bite and scratch. Even raccoons raised as pets are often difficult to deal with when they are adults.
Raccoon relatives. Have you ever heard of a cockamissile? How about a kinkajou? These funny-sounding animals are some of the raccoon's closest relatives.
The red panda has a masked face and a ringed tail, much like the raccoons. Red pandas live in mountains in China, Nepal, India, and Burma. They spend much of their time in trees, which they leave at dawn and dusk to look for food. Red pandas eat bamboo, other plants, and some small animals.
Cockamissile is a Spanish word that means half mountain lion. Cockamissils, also called ringtails, live in western North America in forests and rocky deserts from Oregon to Mexico. These quick-moving animals hunt mice and other small animals. They sometimes also eat fruit.
Kinkajous live in tropical forests of Central America and Brazil. They have soft, thick, yellowish-brown fur. Kinkajous hang by their tails in the trees, feeding on fruit and insects. They are sometimes called honey bears because they also like to eat honey.
Poisonous plants. Cereals, fruit, and vegetables are all considered healthful food. But beware, not all plants are good for you.
You might see Queen Anne's lace growing as a weed in a garden or the woods. This plant is a relative of the carrot, but unlike its cultivated cousin, it's not very good for you at all.
The stems of the rhubarb plant can be made into a delicious pie, but the leaves of this plant are poisonous and can kill a person who eats them. The leaves of the potato plant also contain poison, yet the potato root is a safe, nutritious food.
The hemlock plant looks like parsley, but it's deadly. The famous Greek thinker Socrates died from taking a drink made from hemlock.
Oleander is a hardy plant, often found along fences and freeways. The leaves and branches of the oleander are filled with a deadly poison. Belladonna is also known as deadly nightshade. There are many kinds of nightshade plants that produce poisonous berries. You should never eat any part of a plant unless you are certain that it is safe.
Don't touch! Have you ever gotten into poison oak or poison ivy? Plants like these can make your skin burn and itch just by touching you. It's important to be able to recognize these plants so you can avoid them.
Nettles are plants with bristles. When you brush up against a nettle, it feels like you've been stung. The stinging is caused by a liquid in the nettle's bristle.
Poison sumac is a swamp shrub that can grow up to 20 feet, 6 meters high. It has greenish-white flowers, small grayish-white berries, and leaves made of 7 to 13 leaflets.
Leaves of 3? Let it be. Like poison ivy, poison oak leaves grow in 3s. Its leaves are shaped like those of an oak tree. Poison oak is not a tree at all. It grows as a vine. Poison ivy contains an oil called urushiol that causes the skin to itch and burn. You can recognize poison ivy by the 3 pointed leaflets on each leaf stalk. It also has grayish-white berries.
Dangerous daisies. These plants may be pretty to look at, but don't eat them. All of these plants are harmful if swallowed. They may give you a rash, a stomach ache, or more serious problems. Worms. When is the best time to see a worm? On a rainy day. When it rains or where there is a lot of dew on the ground, water fills up the burrows of earthworms. The worms come up to the surface to breathe.
It's true that the early bird gets the worm. Worms usually come to the surface only at night, when it's cool, so birds must get up very early to get breakfast. Earthworms are also food for moles, shrews, garter snakes, some beetles, and many other animals. Earthworms spend most of their time underground, where they feed on dead plant and animal remains. By burrowing underground, they stir up the soil and bring air and water into the ground. This helps plants grow better.
Kinds of worms. There are thousands of kinds of worms. Some are bigger than you can imagine, and others are so small you cannot see them.
Ribbon worms, like this bootlace worm, usually live at sea. They feed on other animals by shooting out a tube-like structure called a proboscis from their heads. A bootlace worm can grow more than 6 feet, 2 meters, long. The leech is an annelid, or segmented worm. Leeches live in fresh water, feeding on the blood or fluids of other animals. They swim by flapping their bodies, and their segments stretch to help them move. Earthworms are also annelids.
The planarian is a flatworm with a triangular head. Flatworms are the simplest type of worm. Most live in the sea, but some, like the planarian, live in freshwater ponds, streams, lakes, or damp soil. Planarians are experts at regeneration. This means they can regrow parts of their bodies that are lost or injured. Nematodes are round worms that have long tube-like bodies without segments. There are over 12,000 kinds of nematodes. Some, like this hookworm, cause serious diseases in humans. Others feed on small plants and animals in water or soil.
Parasitic worms. Worms may not look dangerous, but some kinds of worms can make you and other animals very sick. The leech is an external parasite, which means it stays outside the body of its host. Other parasitic worms are internal parasites. Internal parasites live inside their host.
The eggs hatch into larvae inside the new host. The larvae burrow and form cysts, closed sacs, in the animal's liver and muscles.
Other animals swallow the eggs when they eat food that has touched the infected animal's wastes. Other animals swallow the eggs when they eat food that has touched the infected animal's wastes.
An adult tapeworm lives in another animal's intestine. It releases its eggs into the waste material of the animal.
When another animal eats the infected animal, the cysts break up. The larvae mature into adult tapeworms, which attach themselves to the lining of the animal's intestine.
A tapeworm is a parasitic flatworm. An adult tapeworm has hooks on its head to help it attach to the intestine of its host. Worm guts. The body of a worm is much simpler than yours. It is like a tube inside a tube. You see, the outside tube is the skin, but the outside tube may contain muscles too. The inside tube mainly holds the worm's intestines, a tiny brain, and the heart.
Most parasitic worms cannot move by themselves, but free-living worms have muscles to help them burrow, swim, and crawl. Earthworms have 2 sets of muscles. One set runs up and down the body to help it shorten or lengthen. The second set runs around the body to help the worm get thinner or fatter.
A worm's intestine is another long tube that carries food slowly through the worm's body.
Worms do not have any bone, so they can bend easily.
Most parasitic worms cannot move by themselves.
Some worms have up to 10 hearts.
Many worms have special mouthpieces. Parasitic worms use these to attach to their hosts. Other worms, such as the ragworm, can actually bite.
A worm can have both male and female reproductive organs.
Many worms have
Most
Mosses and liverworts. If you were looking for moss, where would you look? In shady woods? On the rocks beside a waterfall? On a snow-covered mountain? On a prairie? Moss can live in all these places.
Many mosses can live a long time without water. Some mosses can be found in cold areas like the Arctic tundra, where the water is frozen most of the year.
Unlike most plants, mosses have no true root systems. Instead, mosses are attached by tiny rootlets to soil, rocks, and even trees or other plants. Without true roots, mosses cannot absorb water from soil as well as other plants can. Mosses often grow beside rivers and streams so that water and minerals can enter their leaves or stems directly. Without true roots, how moss reproduces. What do frogs and mosses have in common? True, they're both green, but there's one other thing they have in common. Even though frogs can live on land, they need water to reproduce. Mosses also need water to reproduce.
Moss plants have male organs that produce sperm and female organs that produce eggs. Sperm must swim through drops of water to reach the eggs. Fertilized eggs grow into long plant stalks with sacs on the ends. The sacs contain cells called spores. When the spores are released, they grow into new moss plants.
Liverwort. Do you know what a liverwort is? It's not something you put on your sandwich. It's not a wart on your liver either. A liverwort is a plant closely related to mosses. Like mosses, liverworts lack true roots, and they need water to reproduce. Can you guess how liverworts got their funny name? This plant is called a liverwort because it is sometimes shaped like a human liver. People long ago believed that plants shaped like liver were good for treating liver diseases.
Peat moss. Sphagnum moss, also called peat moss, is one of the few plants found in marshy areas. It grows very well in swamps, where it forms wet, spongy mounds. As sphagnum moss dies, it slowly rots. Over many centuries, it turns into a dense mass called peat. Peat is sometimes dried and used as fuel.
Porcupines. Imagine you're a wolf wandering through a Canadian forest. Suddenly, you run into the animal shown here. What should you do? Back off. Click on the picture to find out why.
This is the attack position of the porcupine. A porcupine warns its enemies to stay away by rattling the hollow spines, called quills, on its tail. If the warning is ignored, the porcupine charges. It runs backward or sideways at its enemy so that the sharp spines stick into the animal's skin.
Porcupines. A porcupine's spines are really specialized hairs. They come in many types and arrangements, depending on the type of porcupine. However, they are always used for defense.
When threatened, a porcupine may bristle. Bristling contracts the muscles of the porcupine's skin, causing the spines to stand up.
Porcupines don't have spines on their undersides. If they did, they couldn't walk. Animals that eat porcupines often flip the porcupines over because they know their undersides are not protected. A porcupine's spines are very sharp at the tip. In some porcupines, the spines have thorn-like barbs that make them very difficult to pull out of the skin once they go in. A porcupine's spines come out of its own skin very easily, however. This may be why many people mistakenly think that porcupines can shoot their spines.
Regular rodent. Except for their spines, porcupines are a lot like other rodents. Many of them are active only at night, when they come out to eat plants. Some porcupines even avoid bright moonlight. They spend the day hidden in caves, crevices, or trees.
The North American porcupine is active during the day. During the winter, it feeds on pine needles and tree bark. In the summer, it spends more time on the ground, where it eats stems, flowers, seeds, and fruit.
Some porcupines have prehensile tails, or tails that can grip things. These porcupines live in Central and South America. They spend almost all their time in trees, coming to the ground only to eat or to move to another tree. Their tails have no spines on them.
Porcupines are born with a full coat of hair. A newborn porcupine's spines are soft and short.
Porcupines walk flat-footed. They have 5 toes on each foot.
Porcupines are stocky and short-legged. They are 1 to 5 feet long, 0.3 to 1.5 meters, and weigh between 2 and 40 pounds, 0.9 to 18 kilograms.
Rabbits and hares. Rabbits and hares are speedy, agile runners. They can walk, but they usually hop at great speeds.
Some jackrabbits can run at more than 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers per hour, faster than many other creatures.
You can see from a rabbit's tracks that rabbits and hares use the whole length of their hind feet to hop. They use only their paws to run. Rabbits and hares run the way we play leapfrog, leaning on their front legs while swinging their hind legs to the front.
Hare or rabbit. Rabbits and hares belong to a large group of animals called lagomorphs, a Greek word that means hair form. They can be hard to tell apart. Hares are larger and longer than rabbits, with longer hind legs and ears.
The North American jackrabbit isn't a rabbit. It's a hare. It lives in hot deserts where its large ears help to keep it cool. The skin of its ears is very thin, and so body heat escapes easily.
The pika is neither a hare nor a rabbit, but it is a lagomorph. Pikas are found in the mountains of Asia and North America. They are much smaller than rabbits and hares. Pikas have short legs and large round ears. In summer, pikas break off stems of grass and leave them to dry in the sun. Later they pile the dried grass into tiny haystacks and use them as a food store during cold months.
Rabbits and hares can run very quickly by using the powerful muscles in their back legs.
Large round eyes stick out for all-around vision. Hares and rabbits can see well both during the day and at night. They use their whiskers to find their way in tunnels and at night.
Hares and rabbits have excellent hearing. Their ears swivel to find which direction the sound is coming from.
Rabbits and hares have long rodent-like front teeth for gnawing grass, roots, and leaves.
Food. Rabbits and hares eat grasses and other plants, and yes, carrots too, when they can find them. During the winter, when food is scarce, they eat twigs and tree bark.
During the winter, rabbits can strip trees of large amounts of bark. Food like this is hard to digest, so rabbits and hares double digest it. They eat food, digest some of it, and expel soft droppings. Then they eat these and digest them again to obtain more nutrients. Finally, they leave small, hard pellets on the ground.
Rabbits nibble plants down close to the ground, leaving no vegetation behind. For this reason, they are serious pests on farms. In the western part of North America, the black-tailed jackrabbit causes much damage by eating crops.
Burrows. Rabbits and hares are solitary animals. Most live in open country above ground. For shelter, they crouch in a shallow scoop in the grass called a form. In Arctic regions or deserts, they may dig burrows to escape the harsh environment. Rabbits and hares may also dive into holes dug by other animals.
European rabbits live in a warren, a system of tunnels dug among tree roots, in a river or stream bank, or in a sand dune. A warren has many entrances and escape routes. Some tunnels are dead ends. Each warren is home to about 10 adult rabbits and their young.
A female European rabbit often raises her kids, young, in a separate tunnel called a stop. Newborn rabbits are hairless, blind, and helpless. Their mother covers the stop with dirt to protect them while she is away.
While a female hare is away eating, she leaves her young, called leverets, in a form. The leverets are well camouflaged, as long as they keep perfectly still. Hares are born covered in fur with their eyes open. They are active and can mostly take care of themselves after a few days.
More rabbits and hares. Would you guess that rabbits are one of the most numerous mammals on Earth? One female wild rabbit produces more than 20 young each year. Hares too reproduce rapidly. Rabbits and hares are serious pests to farmers in many areas because they eat crops.
Rabbits once lived only in Europe. Around 1860, European settlers took a small number of rabbits to Australia. By 1900, rabbits had destroyed large areas of farmland and wilderness. Scientists tried to control the pest, but today there's a big rabbit population once again.
Mammals. You are a mammal. An elephant is a mammal. Even a whale is a mammal. Mammals are a group of animals that have fur or hair, feed their young milk, are warm-blooded, and have a large, highly developed brain. All mammals feed their young milk. The milk comes from glands located in the female's chest or abdomen. These glands are called mammary glands. That's where we get the name mammal. No other animals make milk this way.
All mammals are warm-blooded, which means they have a body temperature that stays the same even in cold weather. Birds are warm-blooded too, but most other animals aren't. Warm-blooded animals need plenty of food to give them energy to make heat. When there's not enough food around, some mammals hibernate to save energy.
All mammals have fur or hair at some point in their lives. A whale has a few hairs on its face when it's born. The hairs fall off in the water.
A mammal's skull has a large open area inside for the brain. Compared to its body size, a mammal's brain is larger than any other animal's brain.
Marvelous mammals. There are 4,000 kinds of mammals. They include some of the fastest, slowest, smartest, and strangest animals on Earth. How many mammals can you think of?
The African elephant is the largest land mammal. It grows to be almost 11 feet tall, 3.2 meters at the shoulder, and weighs about 6 tons, 5.4 metric tons.
The cheetah is the fastest runner of any mammal. It can sprint 70 miles per hour, 113 kilometers per hour, over short distances.
The kitty's hog-nosed bat is the smallest mammal. It's the size of a bumblebee and weighs about the same as 10 jelly beans.
The giraffe is the tallest mammal. Some giraffes are 17 feet, 5.2 meters, tall.
A blue whale is a mammal and the largest animal that ever lived. It can be 100 feet, 30 meters long, and weigh 236,000 pounds, 106,200 kilograms. A whale spends all of its life in salt water, which helps support its huge body.
The cheetah is the fastest runner of any mammal. It can sprint 70 miles per hour, 113 kilometers per hour, over short distances.
Placentals. Most mammals are placentals. This means the young develop inside the mother's womb and are fed through an organ called the placenta. The young are born live and look like their parents, but sometimes the young don't have any fur.
You are a placental mammal. The placenta was attached to you where your belly button is now. All of these animals are also placental mammals. They all have belly buttons too.
Marsupials. Marsupials are the second largest group of mammals. Marsupials give birth to very small young. Many marsupials have a pouch where the young stays until it grows big enough to survive outside. A baby kangaroo is only about 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters, long when it's born. It crawls through its mother's fur into a pocket-like pouch on her belly. There, it's safe and warm. It feeds on its mother's milk until it's big and strong enough to come out of the pouch.
Monotremes. The smallest group of mammals is the monotremes. There are only two kinds of monotremes, the platypus and the echidna, spiny anteater. Monotremes lay leathery eggs. The female keeps the eggs warm until they hatch and then takes care of the young.
A female platypus lays eggs in a nest she builds in her underground burrow. When the young hatch, she holds them to her belly so they can feed on her milk.
A female echidna lays a single egg in a pouch that forms on her abdomen during mating season. The young echidna hatches and then feeds on its mother's milk inside the pouch for several weeks.
Evolution. Scientists believe that mammals descended from a kind of reptile that roamed the earth with the dinosaurs. This tiny reptile evolved into a small shrew-like creature that survived when the dinosaurs disappeared. Over a period of 200 million years, this shrew-like creature developed into the mammals of today.